I did not even test out the volume for the theme song, but it's going to work. Theme song in 3, 2. And welcome back to the Constitutionals. LinkedIn Logs. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. I'm sorry. Full disclosure. I was going to do a completely different thing for the for this show, but then I found 3 stories that are going to work out perfectly. I hope. We'll see. And I was like, you know what? Let me see what's going on, because the thing was going to be an OnlyFans thing. So I was going to load up OnlyFans, and now we were going to build, some videos or whatever. Just put some things out. It was going to be a whole jokey episode, but now I'm doing a real thing. So here we are. We're doing a podcast. And then I was on OnlyFans, and I don't follow anybody except for the, what is it called, OnlyFans creators, or at OnlyFans. So I looked at that, and I was like, why is this girl on a jet ski and it says how to water wheelie, but she's wearing like short shorts and stuff in it? So I got distracted by the OnlyFans. Chad White, podcasting. Welcome back. Here we are. What's been going on with me? Nothing. Well, in terms of jobs, nothing. In terms of everything else, too, nothing. We're post-Easter. I recorded an episode of Constitutionals podcast on Friday, and on Thursday? What was Friday? I recorded on Friday because I didn't do not LinkedIn Logs, Late Night Lately for 2 weeks because I took a break. Mostly because all the shows were gone or off, or there weren't enough last week because the NBC shows were on, but I don't think Kimmel was on. So whatever. Anyway, I want to do it. I want to do all the shows whenever. I want to do a show when everything's on. Also, I couldn't find a topic. Any Hoosers, and for LinkedIn Logs, I like to come in here loaded with something to talk about. The problem is there's not a lot of job stuff out there until Jobs Friday, when the numbers are released, the first Friday of the month, which is this Friday. When the numbers are released for how many jobs there are, or people are claiming that they're not working, something like that. Anyway, the most recent thing for me is I've been emailing. I've been having a one-sided discussion with 2 recruiters for a company. I'm not going to say which one, but it's the same. I'm having the same issues that I was previously having with these with these companies, in that it is, if you're a recruiter and you're posting, X, Y, and Z on the light for the ring light just got way brighter, and it was flickering for a second and then it got way brighter. But if you're posting all the time, and yes, you can be someone that hires a company to write your things for you, or use AI to generate some posts for you. But the fact that you're on LinkedIn all the time posting this stuff, it can be frustrating when someone is trying to talk to you. I mean, it's the same vein as, I'm talking to a young lady, and which is untrue. This is completely untrue right now. But if you're talking to somebody and then they're on Instagram literally posting a story every hour on the hour, and you're like, hey, what's up? Or, hey, how your day going? Just something along those lines. I can't tell you how many times it's happened to me. So many times. Just answer your emails when I'm on the same thread going, Hey, this is Chad White, just following up. Hey, so-and-so, this is Chad White. Just want to see what's going on. Hey, just trying to see if you saw my previous note. I'm still very excited to join the company or to rejoin the company. It might give you a hint as to what recruiters I'm responding to. There's this false, I'm with you. I'm ready to do this, and then you come out and you don't follow through, and you're just as bad as everybody else. And if I'm not moving on, or if I'm not going forward in the interview process of the position, just say, hey, look, we're busy, or hey, look, I haven't heard anything back. That's it. That's all you have to do. But the fact that I'd see you on LinkedIn literally every single day posting some BS about following your heart or being open to the skies or the wind, some shit like that. It is infuriating because I feel like there's like a double standard for people when they're looking for jobs. I feel like unless, and this is the same way I feel, and I love Peloton, but this is the same way I feel about this overcorrection in our world where we're being the only people being catered to are pregnant moms and people in the military and people with mental health issues. There's other people out there, just people just applying for jobs. And then another thing is, I know that was a hot take. Another thing is, whenever I hear somebody talking about, how they got their jobs or their job search or whatever, they're like, oh, I just kept asking, you just gotta be headstrong. You have to go in there. You have to do this. You have to do that. And then I'm sitting here sending an email. Hey, listen, just checking in. And then that's too aggressive as compared to somebody else who's like, I showed up at the front door of the office and I knocked and I said I wanted a job and they gave it to me. No one knows the answers. And stop pretending you do. And then that is direct. I'm speaking now directly to the recruiters. But I'm on LinkedIn right now, as I get on at least once a day to see if I can find a job that I can apply to. See if there's something interesting out there. And there's not really. For a long time, I got my top picks in my job section were mostly fast food, like general manager of a Wendy's or a McDonald's, which I'm happy for anybody that wants to do that and follow that. That's not me. And then the premium section, jobs where you're a top applicant, you only get shown one or two jobs, sometimes three. I took advantage of applying to one. But a lot of the things, and I mentioned this before, is I've recently found that a lot of companies, a lot of posts on LinkedIn, these job posts, I'm seeing founder of this, generative AI, do this, do that. And then some companies they put producer in their name or in the job title, but it's for like a clothing store in Duluth. Like, no, it's not. That's not producing. That's selling clothes. So I'm doing the stick-to-itiveness thing, but that's what's happening in my neck of the woods. Don't sue me, Al. All right, let's get on with this. I have 3 news stories. The first one comes from Ann Tergessen over at the Wall Street Journal. The new magic number for retirement is 1.46 million. Here's what it tells us. That is up from 1.27 million. This is all from a survey from 4,588 adults released today, Tuesday, by financial services company Northwestern Mutual. Hey, Peter. It's like Cleveland Brown. Well, here's my Joe. Hey, Peter. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. My Patrick Warburton is fantastic. And over $1 million more than the average survey participant's nest egg. Wow. So that means the average person who took that survey had about $460,000 in their bank account for retirement. I know how much money I have spread across 3 companies that let me go. Well, 2, Warner Brothers and Bounce. I don't think I ever had one from NBC. WXIA, no, I did not. Unless it's something I need to ask. I made $10 an hour. No, it wasn't. Can you believe that? Nest eggs are very important now. I mean, and they keep growing, which is why you see people continuing to work well past when they get their AARP cards. Is that what it's called? AARP cards? I saw a headline yesterday that one congressperson was complaining about how our retirement age doesn't make sense anymore. And, they may or may not be right, but it doesn't make sense anymore in the fact that in Europe, their retirement ages, I think, are a little bit older. And, that could be the case for a lot of people where, they got lucky, they have good jobs, and they're able to retire at 65 or however old the number is. And they have their nest eggs. They can live comfortably, which is what this $1.46 million is that the idea is to live comfortably. I mean, I guess that, to live like if your house is paid off and the only bills you have are the constant bills, which could be, home insurance, homeowners insurance, health insurance, food for you, if you have a spouse, or if you're living with a common law person and pets, and you're traveling every so often, I don't know. It's hard for workers to imagine what their 401k balance ultimately buys in their retirement. The Wall Street Journal profiled retirees with $1 million, $2 million, and $5 million to show the range of lifestyles and challenges people face. About 2% of Fidelity Investments 401k participants have a balance of $1 million or more. The retirement program is projected to deplete its reserves in a decade, triggering a 23% reduction in benefits unless Congress acts. Millennials sharply raised their estimates compared with before the pandemic. When millennials, people my age, born between the 80s and the late 90s, I believe 96 is the cutoff, or 95 is the cutoff rather. Millennials are expected to need 1.65 million. That's up from under 1 million in 2020. Boomers who were born from 46 to 64 would need about 990,000, up from 830,000 in 2020. People who have at least $1 million to invest think they'll need about $4 million to retire comfortably, up from $2.1 million in 2020. Now, these numbers obviously are different for everybody. This is the general consensus. We don't exactly know. Again, you could have a different lifestyle. But one question posited here, is it enough? Some people retire earlier than expected for one reason or another. About 35% of retirees, the nonprofit Employee Benefit Research Institute surveyed in 2023, said they retired sooner than they planned because they felt they could afford to, which is down 41% in 2021. I know plenty of people who want to retire when they're in their 40s and 50s. And I'm like, more power to you. I wish I could do the same thing. As time moves on, it's going to be more difficult to judge how this works, especially when things like you couldn't even consider 20 years ago are cropping up. Phones cost 10 times as much as they used to. And then you have to factor in your your subscription services, for instance. If you want to travel, if you want to do anything other than live hand to mouth all the time or paycheck to paycheck. I can't even think about retirement. I'm like, dude, I gotta find somewhere to work. And this next story ties into that. This one comes from the New York Times, written by Curtis Lee. Winners and losers as $20 fast food wage nears in California. California's fast food wage increase is in effect. And some people are happy, some people are very sad about it. Or not sad, but there's opposite thoughts. I couldn't come up with something other than sad. You hear the both sides of the coin every single time. All the single time. Title of this episode. You hear both sides of the coin. On one end, you hear people who own restaurants, as you'll see in this piece, is that this happens twice. People who own restaurants who are used to paying minimum wage are going to have to raise prices of their food. They're going to have to lay people off because it costs so much money just to maintain that $20 an hour. But then on the other end of the spectrum, this is going to be great for somebody who is able to now that extra $4 if they're making $16 an hour, they're going to be able to pay more in their rent. They're going to be able to save more. They're going to be able to buy luxuries that they should, or it'll put a little bit more distance between them and the debt collectors or whatever. The ambitious law has been characterized by opposing sides in stark terms. To backers, it's a step forward, fair compensation. It is a step forward. Oh, excuse me. It's a step toward fair compensation for low-wage workers who face significant risk during the pandemic. To opponents, it's a cataclysmic move that will raise food prices, lead to job losses, and force some franchisees to consider closing. The new minimum wage will add $3,000 to $4,000 to one worker's expenses, as who's profiled here. And while this worker, hopes to keep all 8 of his employees, he doesn't know if he can keep up with numbers. Not the worker, excuse me. This is the restaurant owner. There was also a piece, a little bit here that I wanted to see. Some people are going to be able to help their parents with rent, which is a fantastic move. But here, there's a chain based in Dallas. I'm not going to say the restaurant. It operates more than 400 restaurants. This is the same guy. He pays 9% in royalties. I'm stuffed up from the allergies. In royalties to the headquarters. He has cut his staff by half over the past decade and trimmed hours. He's also raised prices. A loaded baked potato cost $8 when he opened his store for the chain, and now it's almost $20 when ordering at the restaurant. My thing is, if that's a $20 loaded baked potato, I hope to God you are putting protein on there, cheese, sour cream, like just the works. If that's a $20 baked potato, loaded baked potato, it better be big. It better be like truly the size of my phone. It better be the size of this water bottle. If it's gonna be $20. And yeah, I mean, you're gonna have restaurants in areas where let's just pretend that this expands, hopefully, to because I'm on the side of the worker. Let's pretend it expands to the other end of the coast, to places in the middle of the country, and they have to pay prices that are in line with the landscape of the area. So by that I mean, if the minimum wage in California for someone to live a life is $20, and the same thing happens in New York, then maybe in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where I went to school, instead of it being $8.25, then it could be $14.50 or something. Because that, even if you have to cut down on on how many workers you have. You don't have to trim complete hours. You can have somebody work a 6-hour shift, 6-7 hour shift, 4 or 5 days a week, and get them. Because you know what? I've done a lot of part-time jobs. You know how many times I've had to, the companies have had to juggle me getting me to 39 hours or 39 and a half, so they didn't have to pay the benefits to me. This is nothing new. I understand. I see from the business owner's perspective how they are going to have to make some cutbacks. But if you put out a better service, then I think, and another thing is that the guy who owned this restaurant has seen a drop in his customers. You just see when prices go up like that, they've seen a drop in their customers. But I think if you have a better service, then the customer base will level out and everything will be just fine. The dog came over. If you heard me turn away from the mic, he started sniffing my leg, and I was like, "What in the world is this?" Because I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention where he was. I mean, I live in a very popular area in Atlanta, Georgia, and there are any number of restaurants around the way. And for instance, my favorite pizza restaurant just closed, and they had I think it was like $35. I don't know. But they had like let's say $35 pizza. It was like a medium-sized all meat pizza. Look, that's a lot of money for a pizza. And I can go to any other place and get I'm thinking of another place that's near me, a slightly cheaper pizza, or another place that was in that same area. It's basic, same style. Prices is basically the same. But there's a reason why I don't go to Domino's or Pizza Hut or Papa John's. It's because A, it's shit pizza, but B, because I want that home style. I want that good tasting thing, and I'm willing to go on a Saturday and pay that $35 and then tip appropriately and be on my merry way. If you offer the good service, if you are a boutique store and you're selling boutique niche clothing, I'm thinking of one near me. I walked in once in the past. I lived in this area for 6, 7 years, 8 years, and I've walked in once. And it was a couple months ago I walked in with somebody, and they had clothing that was jackets that were like $200, pants that were $120. But you know what? They stay in operation because there's a need. Even if it's if it's a twee niche hipstery need, they're filling that need. Same thing. You go to a poorer neighborhood, and there's unfortunately, fast food all around you, but there's also local restaurants in those areas too. There's people driving around Atlanta with smokers connected to their trucks, parking in neighborhoods. There's food trucks. There's needs. And as long as you pay people well, and as long as you provide a good service, I think those needs will be filled, and you'll see returns monetarily. And then it's up to you to, if you're not seeing those returns, figure out what the problem is and try to circumvent that. Okay, well, we offer a loaded baked potato. Unfortunately, it's going to have to go from $12 up to $15. How are we going to get people to order that? Because they're so used to paying that $12. How are we going to get people to continue ordering this loaded baked potato? Let's add a little bit more bacon bits to it. Let's add a little bit more cheese. Let's offer them one more sauce or whatever you put on a loaded baked potato. Let's buy potatoes from this farm or this area. Just offer something a little bit more. And I know that sounds tone deaf, a bit tone deaf. And I'm not somebody who owns a business, But I've been on this side of the river for so long that I do see, and talking to old bosses or at old companies and examining just this stuff. I'm pointing to the news article all the time that, hey, maybe let's try something different instead of complaining, saying, I got to fire everybody. All right, well, let's try this for a little bit. Let's try improving it for a little bit. If you're going to offer a $20 baked potato, then by God, fix it up, zhuzh it up. I won't complain about $20 baked potato. I would go, $20 baked potato. This is what happened. I'll look at the menu and go, $20 baked potato, what's on it? Oh, it's all this stuff. Oh, it tastes this good. Oh, it comes with a side. It better come with a side for $20. Damn baked potato. Don't make me pay that much for baked potato and not come with a side. You kidding me? All right, this last one comes from New York Times. Those billion-dollar lottery jackpots aren't even half that big. It's written by Jeff Sommer. We're seeing $1.13 billion jackpots. There's a Powerball that's $935 million. Somebody won that Mega Millions, that 1.13 in Jersey last week. What are you going to spend it all on? Gabagool? Oh, gabagool. Look at me. I'm from New Jersey. When I was younger, we would go to the library. My mom would take me and my sister, and they would get books, but I would immediately go to the DVD section and get The Sopranos. We didn't have HBO, so I would get The Sopranos. I'm talking like I am so young. I'm not even a teenager, and it's on DVD. And I would go home and I would watch it. Because we would also go to Blockbuster, but Blockbuster also costs money. So sometimes we go to the library and I just get the DVDs. I read now. It's fine. I just finished 3 Body Problem. I'm on to the sequel. Then there's a third one. I read 23 books last year. Yeah, 23. There 23 or 22. Technically, one of those books it's still in the middle of reading, but it's giant. It's the HBO book. I have yet to finish that, but 23. These Mega Million jackpots, you see it all the time. You'll see, oh, but if you live in this state, you'll have to pay this much amount in taxes and things like that, and fine, whatever. Yeah, that's very true. The big U.S. lotteries say there have been 10 jackpots with an advertised value of more than $1 billion. But that's misleading. Despite all the ballyhoo, the United States has not yet had even one grand prize of $1 billion based on cold hard cash, which, yeah, fine. Making sense of the numbers is not easy. When the prize starts to look really big, more people buy tickets, which makes the prizes even bigger, and that increases revenues for the states that run them, said Salil Mehta, who is an independent statistician. But the odds against winning are so great that people are throwing away their money. It's a tax on people who may not really understand what they're doing. You hear it all the time. It's a waste of money. It's like gambling and just like literally just throwing money out into the wind. I kind of like lotteries. I just don't think they should be that big. So what's a jackpot? You could get your money out in a sum. You can get it paid out over a couple of years or a couple of decades. I like the cash option much better. And that reflects the actual money gathered by states that participate in the big lotteries after expenses and revenue put aside for purposes like education. That's the cash option. The advertised jackpots are just an estimate of some of the cash flows that the prize pool can buy, and that depends on the interest rates for the government bonds used to create the annuity. The higher the interest rates, the greater the payouts. Whew. Simple annuities aren't advertised in the way that they should be. The claims made from them are typically limited and boring. For a certain sum, you'll receive a specified payout each month, maybe with an inflation adjustment for a given number of years. It's generally viewed as inappropriate to say, buy this annuity and receive a jackpot of $100,000 when you, in reality, you're merely receiving a small fraction of that amount every month for 30 years. I would always take the cash sum. I would never get the payout over 40 years or so. There's also interest rates. Consider that on March 26th, the cash value of the Mega Millions prize was $526 million. Only 48% of the advertised jackpot of $1.1 billion, which is also, I will take $526 million. In January 2021, by contrast, the advertised jackpot for Mega Millions was $1.05 billion, slightly less than the March 26th jackpot. Maverick. But the cash value of the 2021 prize was $777 million, 74% of the advertised jackpot, and much more than the March 26th cash prize. So what happened? Well, the yield on the 10-year Treasury note now is about 4.1%, and the lottery organizers estimate that converted into bonds over 30 years, the amount in the lottery's prize pool, about $526 million, will generate about $1.1 billion. So it's based on how much money is paid in. I'll tell you this, though. Any cent, I will take any amount of money. Are you kidding me? I'll take any dollar. You always hear stories about how winning the lottery changes somebody's life, and it's always for the negative, and then they end up, poor again or dead in some form or fashion. Look, if I ever had that much money, I said this before because I was reading the story before I started the show. I thought money will never change me. I can say that without any complications and it just being fine. Because look, man, I got all I need. I got my pets. I got my interests. And that's just fine. You give me money, I will be happy. But it's funny. It's because they say a lot of people are like, "Oh, money shouldn't change your happiness. Money shouldn't affect." Look, money will definitely help some things. Can it be things I don't have to worry about anymore? If I had $10,000, my entire life would change. If I had $5,000, my entire life would be so different right now. It would be the most different thing in the world. But I just thought the lottery thing, that had nothing to do with jobs. It was in the business section of the New York Times, but I did think that was just an interesting story. Hey, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com where you can see me talk with your favorite people in the entertainment industry: comedians, actors, writers, musicians, directors, producers. I did not land a couple of interviews that were offered to me. I had to check back in. Oh, Chad, I'm sorry. They're no longer doing those. Yeah. Two guys I enjoy. I really like Seth Meyers and Mike Birbiglia. Just put the PR people on blast. It was gonna be great. Anyway, those aren't the PR people. Those are the two guys, the comedians that I was going to talk to. But whatever. Anyway, it's so stupid. Let's see. Listen to the other podcasts, The Constitutionals, and which is the Entertainment Business News podcast, and Late Night Lately, the Late Night Show, which is the Late Night Show podcast. You can find those wherever you get your podcasts. You can watch the video on youtube.com/C+Comedy. You can watch News Time. You can follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at C+Comedy, me at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.